guys, welcome back to my channel. So since it is almost Halloween and or maybe Halloween, depending on when I post this, I felt like it was only fitting to tell some scary stories. These are actual true experiences, things that have happened to me, and I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty freaking creepy. So up until I got this job working as a home healthcare aide, I had never really had a creepy experience like this before. There was one, but it was very minor compared to these particular instances. I mean, it was so creepy. Basically, I was just doing very basic tasks for them. I mean, I would do their meals, I would do light housework, I would help them to the bathroom, just basically entertain them. There were some things I'd check, like their blood sugar, but it was very basic. More than anything, I was kind of companionship, just to make sure that they didn't fall down, or if something happened, somebody was there with them. Because to give you an idea, they were really old. More than just their age, they were very debilitated. Ellis was the husband, and he was basically blind. He couldn't see hardly anything, and then he sat in this old chair and he just watched TV all day. I don't know how much of it he actually watched. He just did not move. He didn't really even want to talk. He was a body at this point, to be honest. And then there was Jerry, who was still very much alive. I wouldn't say she was mentally all there, but she was very vocal. I mean, she wanted to get up, wanted to get moving, and kind of would get herself into trouble. Like, she would try to do way more than she should. But more or less, she was very sane. Now, that being said, she would have really bad days when she would be genuinely confused. She didn't think she was in her house. It was like talking to a different person. She'd become very rude and she was just very confused. So you had to have a lot of patience with her and try to figure out what was going on. It was almost like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type thing. Sometimes she was totally coherent and you thought everything was good, and then the next second she's like freaking out. This isn't my house. Who are you? Get out of my house. And could be kind of combative. Not that I was very worried. It's not like she was going to hurt me. She was very frail, but to give you an idea, she was very there. She would talk and like she knew what was going on. She would just have these episodes where she was kind of out of it. I'd been working there for maybe a month, something like that. And honestly, their house always creeped me out. I don't know if that's kind of cliche to say, just to kind of set the scene, but it really always creeped me out. And I personally think when you're really close to dying, the veil gets thin and there's a smaller separation between alive and dead, if that makes any sense. Honestly, that's how I felt at their house. I felt very uneasy. And I couldn't explain why, but I would always feel uncomfortable. Not even just when like Jerry was having her episodes where she was freaking out. I just felt kind of odd. The first experience I ever had where I was like, whoa, that's extremely creepy, was we were in the kitchen and I was feeding them dinner, and Jerry was kind of going into one of her episodes where she's not all there. And I know they call it something when you do that at night, but she'd particularly do that in the evening. So I was kind of used to it. I kind of expected it. And she was eating dinner and she wasn't eating very much. And I was kind of trying to get her to eat a little bit more. I'm like, oh, Jerry, go ahead and finish this off. And she was starting to get combative. And I'm like, oh, here we go. So she says something along the lines of, no, just leave me alone. I'm talking to my mom right now. I don't want to be like, no, Jerry, like, you're almost in your 90s. Like, your mom's dead. Obviously you don't say anything like that. So you just try to kind of steer them away from it. But she kept going back to, no, like, stop. I'm just talking to my mom. And then she continued to turn to the seat across from her. And she didn't really say very much, but she'd like kind of giggle, and it was creepy to watch, but I wasn't scared at this point. I was just like, okay, that's a lot. But I let it go, moved on. I started like cleaning up. And so then Jerry's finally done and she wants to go back into the living room. So I get her and help her into the living room, and she's like, yeah, mom's gone now. She went down to the basement. which is, it's just weird. It's just creepy. Like, I started getting a little creepy, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, Jerry, stop freaking me out. Like, I don't get paid enough for this. So I bring her in, and how the setup of their house was, there's the back door, and then directly across from it, there's a little bit of a landing and then stairway that goes straight down into the basement. And they do have a finished basement, but we never went down there for anything. And I mean, every time I came in, because I came in through that back door, it was just like black, pitch black down there. And I'm like, ew, I don't do basements. I've seen enough scary movies. I mean, some white people are stupid, but I'd like to pride myself at not being that stupid. But actually I am, because in like my last story, I'll explain to you when I spent the night in that basement, but that's another story. Like I said, I get them back in the living room, and I finish cleaning up in the kitchen, and the trash is full, so I decide to take it out. And in order to do that, to go out the back door, which is directly by the basement. Ugh, it's so creepy. So I go and I'm taking the trash out, and I hear a woman's voice humming in their basement. I shit you not. No one is ever in that basement. Nobody. I'm alone with these two elderly people, and there is humming in the basement. If that was not Jerry's mother, I don't know what that was. I freaked out. I considered leaving, but I will try to justify everything, because the last thing that I want to assume is, oh, yeah, this is definitely a ghost. You know what I'm saying? So I take the trash out, and I'm seriously like, I don't know if I can go back in there. And I'm thinking about it, and then I go back in, and it's silent. There's nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, it could have been a radio. Maybe it was something from a TV somewhere. I don't really know. I started justifying it and thinking like, get your life right, you're fine. Probably a week later, they have a little Shih Tzu, and he is a shit, like an actual shit. Ugh. If you have a small dog, cool, but I'm a big dog person. Anyways, I hated this dog. To Jerry, this dog is like her baby. She loves this dog. And I don't know if I just have a grudge against this dog because he came into my backpack, weaseled his little nose in there, and stole my candy bar. I'm not kidding you. But anyways, we're all sitting in the living room. We're all watching TV. And the dog starts jumping around, like an odd amount of jumping. And I'm trying to justify this now, but like, there is no way to justify how this dog was acting. Like, it was like playing with something, right? Nothing's there. It's just in the middle of the living room floor, and we're all sitting on like the couches surrounding. And I'm like, that's weird. I go with it. I don't say anything. Jerry starts laughing. She starts clapping. She's like, get him. What was that dog's name? I can't remember. Let's say the dog's name is Cookie. But she's like, get him, Cookie. Go, get him. And she's just laughing and like getting super into it. It was so freaky. Like, I didn't even ask her. I didn't even want to know. I did not even want to ask questions about what she thought was going on. There's literally a ghost in here. Swell. So I should go now? I probably should go. But no, my dumb self kept working there. So then probably a week or two later, I don't know the time frame. I don't know why I was still there. But at this point, I'm still there. So I'm there with Jerry and Ellis. Typical normal afternoon. I walk into the bathroom. There are two entrances into the bathroom. There's an entrance off the side of the living room. So you like are in the living room, you walk into the bathroom, and then you turn this way and there's a toilet, like where I'm sitting. And then straight across from the toilet, there's another door that leads to the sunroom. So you can enter the bathroom from two different ways. From the sunroom, directly in front of the toilet, or from the living room on the side. So I come in through the living room on the side, and I'm using the bathroom. I am directly across from the door that leads to the sunroom. Now, in order to get down into the sunroom, there's like a long set of steps. And I don't know if I've made this clear enough, but Jerry and Ellis pretty much don't move. Jerry can get moving. She has a little walker to some extent. She don't go downstairs, so just keep that in mind. They're sitting in the living room, watching TV. I hear footsteps, and then I see right in front of where the sun is shining in, shadow, and it like is like in like a body motion. I don't know what a body motion looks like, but it's like shadow, and I can see it past, like it's something is moving and blocking off sunlight shining in underneath the bathroom door. So obviously I'm freaked out. I run out into the living room. Jerry and Ellis are still sitting there, obviously, because they can't move. They don't go downstairs into a friggin' sunroom. And there was nobody in the sunroom. There was nobody in the sunroom. But I saw somebody in the sunroom. I saw their shadow in the sunroom. Jerry was having one of those nights, and she was really out of it, and she was really not even upset, which was also kind of creepy. She wasn't upset, she was content, but it was like she wasn't herself. Just very pleasant, but it was like her eyes were clouded over. Like she did not know where she was or what she was doing. And I was trying to be nice to her, and so I was sitting down and talking with her and trying to figure out why she was so happy versus like what she thought was going on, because she was acting really loopy. She was saying a lot of sentences that didn't make sense, and she thought I was someone different than I was, is how I felt, because she wasn't talking to me how she normally talked to me. I don't know. Amidst our conversation, she turns and looks straight at me, and she says, "How's your mother, Mary?" And I just about lost my mind. And I tried to ask her more questions like, who's Mary? How do you know Mary? But she's off talking about something else now. She's totally off topic. And for anyone who doesn't know, my mom's name is Mary Jean, and she passed away when I was in 8th grade. I never talked to Jerry about that. I never told her anything about my family. Nothing. Like the idea that she would have heard that somewhere, it did not happen. It did not happen. And that could have just been said on a whim because Mary is a pretty common name, but it was so creepy. And I instantly was just like, what? Now, when things really popped off, this is the one that I have no explanation for, and how I know that there was something weird going on in that house. It's the grand finale, so to speak. Jerry, her health had diminished greatly just since I'd been there. It was getting to the point where she was starting to get up at night and try to get out of bed. And like I said, she can't just be moving around. And last time, just before I had started, she had fallen, I guess, and she'd gotten really, really hurt. So they were worried about her doing that again. So they started trying to get some of the home care aides to stay overnight. I told them right off the bat, like, no, that is not happening. I cannot, I will not. I kept it professional. I'm not like, yeah, their house is haunted, so hard pass on the overnights. But I made it really clear that I was not comfortable doing that. And luckily, they were super okay with it. There wasn't a big problem. This weeknight comes up, and they were not able to find anybody to work it for whatever reason. None of the other aides could stay. Nobody was going to be there. And they said, please, 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 can you just cover this one night? I know that you don't want to work nights, but will you please work this one? Me, being the pushover people pleaser that I am, was like, sure, I'll do it. Guess where I had to stay? Downstairs in the basement. Now, I'd never been down there until this point, but they're like, no, it's just fine. There's a bathroom down there. There's finished bedrooms. You can just like crash, like get paid to just like spend the night here. So Jerry, because she would get up so much, they had a pad underneath her, and if she raised off of it at all, it would like set off an alarm. So you knew like, hey, I need to get up and like make sure she sets back down. Keep that in mind because that's important to this story. If I go down into this basement, it is so creepy. Now I know this had nothing to do with like things actually being haunted, but it was creepy. It was something straight out of a movie. There were all these old paintings of like children. Oh, just looking at this place had me shook. I go into the bedroom closest to the stairs, you know, that has the back door right there. And I just feel so uncomfortable. I feel so on edge. And so I closed the door. There was no way to lock the door. So I closed the door and I put my shoes underneath it, tuck my shoes underneath it. I'm just reading my book and I have my back turned away from the door. I have all the lights on, obviously, kind of just like laying there trying to go to sleep. And then I hear footsteps upstairs. They're moving fast. They're like normal walking footsteps, just like frozen, because that makes no sense. Ellis definitely will not be getting up. Jerry can't get up, or it's going to sound an alarm. Either way, either one of them would have to at least have a walker. And this is like fast moving footsteps. I'm just completely frozen, just laying there. I don't know what to do. It's like those scary movie moments because you think that you're gonna be this brave person and you're just gonna be like, I'm getting the hell up out of here. And you just like pick up and like roll out. But I was so scared to even go up the stairs. I was too scared to even roll over. So I'm just like sitting there waiting and I hear the footsteps and they just go like a little bit this way and then it'll stop for a minute, then go back this way and then it stops. Finally, it's completely quiet and it stopped. And there's no footsteps or anything like that. And I flip over because until this point I didn't even move because I was just like, I don't know what to do. So I flip over. My shoes are sitting in the middle of the floor and the door is cracked. What? It was in that moment that I was just like, my life's over. It's done. It's freaking done. And nothing else happened that night, but I will tell you, after this experience, even after I quit this job, some of the scariest things that have happened to me happened at my apartment. And this, my roommates can attest to this. Like, I will tell those stories one day, but I mean, that's enough scary stories for now. But that is the story of my experience as a home care aide in a haunted house. And I'm still shook. So take that for what it's worth. All of those are 100% true. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. I will see you guys next week.